You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting. The best in paranormal talk radio.
Welcome back. You are listening to Paranormal Experience Radio, and I am Kat Hobson, your host. I'm joined by my friend Claire Broida, and we are having a fantastic conversation about a little bit of freaky stuff, a whole lot of freaky stuff that is kind of off the mainstream web, and we're just having a great time. Welcome back, Jean.
Thank you, Kat. It's a pleasure being with you here tonight.
Well, I kind of stepped on you to go to that break, so I apologize. So, where are we with having gone through people trying to disclose who kept disappearing or being assassinated? We have people now who say they would like to disclose, and when I have attended different conferences, they say that the whole genre of entertainment with the ancient histories, ancient aliens, the Egyptian aspects, everything is part of disclosure. That we're not going to get a UFO on the White House lawn, we're not going to get statements from government officials, that it's all just quietly going by.
It's an interesting conundrum, Kat. And there's two sides of this, two perspectives, shall we say. From the United States and other world, well, maybe not so much other world governments now, but from the United States government's perspective, it's going to be very difficult to apologize or explain 70 years of a big fat lie about UFOs. There's plenty of military documentation that they spotted them, they had radar confirmations, visual confirmations, retrieved craft, retrieved corpses. So there's no doubt in my mind that the federal government knows UFOs exist, aliens exist. There is no doubt whatsoever in my mind. When we talk about experiencers wanting to come forward to disclose, yes, that's happening, and it's happening as a phenomenon of aging. There is a law or a thinking that let me back up, I misspoke a bit. When military personnel had UFO experiences on military bases, if they were debriefed at all, they then typically had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I won't talk about this. And they were told by military intelligence officers, as far as you're concerned, this event never happened. Well, if you had to sit on that kind of secret, never tell your family, your friends, no matter how drunk you got at the local bar, you couldn't talk about it. After a lifetime of suppression, it gets heavy in consciousness, heavy on your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And some people it made sick, I think, with cancer and other diseases. That's my opinion. I can't prove it. But as a metaphysicist, it makes sense to me that would be the case. And 50 years later, it's kind of like a statute of limitations has run out. And we're getting deathbed confessions.
Yes.
From people who worked at these bases at the time of these events. But we also have individuals like Paul Hellyer, ex-defense minister of Canada, former minister of defense in the country of Canada, who said, in that role, UFO documents crossed my desk. And I never gave it a thought. Before I was Minister of Defense, I paid no attention to UFOs. But once I got documentation, I had to start paying attention. And he's now an advocate for full disclosure. So Do I think the United States will ever admit that they've been lying to us for more than 70 years? No, I do not. I do not. So that's one perspective. But what's the other perspective? The alien perspective. We don't know why they are here. And Brenda in the chat made a very good observation. We don't know anything about them. We don't know what their motivation is, what they're thinking. We don't know that they're anything like us. They're aliens. They're probably not like what Hollywood tells us. I agree across the board, Brenda. Very astute. I agree. We have no way of knowing what they're how they think, if they think, what they're doing, why they're doing it, what motivates them, why they're here, what they're doing with us. If they created us, if we're a big genetics experiment, makes a lot of sense to me. If you have a garden, you go out in the garden periodically and you tend it. You remove dead branches, you pick off fresh fruit if it's the season, you pay attention. And if you're a geneticist, you study generations, which would explain the whole beginning of the Bible. Why were they so obsessed with who begat whom? Who cares about lineage and parentage? A genetic biologist would, a genetic engineer would. You bet they would. And who traces back to the strain of Noah? Who traces back to the family of Abraham? Very important if you're tracing lineages from aliens, the so-called fallen angels. Okay, a whole other story over there.
True that.
So if you're an alien, if you're an advanced, or maybe, I don't even like the word advanced, a different intelligence, a different kind of intelligence, but you realize that you freak these humans out. Your physical appearance disturbs humans. They panic, and they go for their guns. The men go for their guns, and the women faint, or whatever. I'm being very glib here. All right? I'm being glib.
Panic.
Panic. Consternation. Upset. So the aliens are like, well, what can we do? It's to the humans' advantage to know that we're here. We object to their government lying to them. But what can we do? We have a policy of non-interference. We can't just, we could land on the White House lawn, but we'd probably get shot at. So that's not very productive for us. What's interesting is that there appears to be a rise of UFO sightings around the world. Now, whether it's because we have digital technology on cell phones that allows capture that was never available before historically, capture video. Of course, it's lousy video. It's mostly lousy video, and you can't tell what you're looking at. And no camera image can, I shouldn't say no camera image, very few camera images can capture what the human eye can see. So when you look at a camera image, it doesn't look like what you were looking at in the sky, especially. That's the field of optics and physics. So I never trust anything on video, but I would trust a military radar reading. Yes, I would. If you're an alien intelligence and you want to reveal yourself, disclose yourself, you might influence Hollywood directors through dreams or consciousness contact, to make movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You might inspire people like Gene Roddenberry to create a TV show, Star Trek, which he called Cowboys in Space, to pitch it to the producers, the network. He called it Cowboys in Space. He may not have been conscious of where his ideas came from. It doesn't matter. Consciousness raising is going on right now. What we're doing right here now is consciousness raising. Everyone listening to this conversation is having their consciousness affected. May not be raised to a higher level of vibration. Well, we hope, but we can't guarantee it. But when we talk amongst ourselves, when we exchange ideas, without a shadow of a doubt, we are affecting each other's consciousness. And even thinking thoughts at things will change their state of being. This is a very interesting line of research where a Japanese scientist looked at what happens to water as it freezes into crystalline patterns. He had people think at the water, in other words, project thoughts at the water, and emotions as well. Project love at the water, and you get these beautiful snowflakey-like crystal patterns. Project hatred, I hate you, water. And the water looks all tense, and it's jaggy. It's not It doesn't look at all like a snowflake. It's very upset looking. And if you play classical music, you get snowflakey kind of patterns. If you play heavy metal, you get disruptive patterns. There are plants that have been berated and wilted while the same identical species of plant was praised and it thrived.
Yes.
That happened at an IKEA store recently.
Happens
There's
with humans
consciousness
too.
experience going on. So if you were an alien intelligence and you wanted to raise consciousness to the point where they could zoom up to the window of your house and look in and you wouldn't go, wah! You'd go, hey, would you like some toast? How about a snack? I mentioned toast because Mark,
Yes, I saw that.
Mark, before he left, asked in the feed, in the chat, do they like, Gene, do they like to eat toast? And I find that amusing because we don't really know. But I do remember one case, I think it was the military guy who was stationed out in Dreamland, who met avians, the white avian, no, the tall whites, not avians, not bird people, but tall white aliens.
The Nordics.
That guy was saying they liked bread, or somebody was saying they liked bread, and of course you make toast from bread. But it's not clear they eat at all. It's just none of this is known to us. There's so much we don't know because we're on the receiving end. We're the subjects. We who are not in the military and not doing autopsies on corpses and not doing experiments on live captives don't know anything about this aspect of their being, right? Unless a person is an experiencer who's had direct communication with one, then and I do validate that, by the way. I believe that is valid. I can't substantiate it as a scientist, but as a metaphysicist, as a mystic, I say it's valid. You had that experience and it was real for you. It was true for you, which means it might be true for me.
True that.
On the other hand, there are people who are colorblind, just play devil's advocate, which I love to do on myself, because I am a genuine skeptic. I can see both sides of the argument or the debate. And I just lost my thought train there, so help me out, Kat, help me.
Well, I get so tickled at you because you are so cautious with not crossing lines and making sure that you're staying open. And, I got distracted by the excessive alien flirting, to be honest, and loving carb lovers. But when you have...
What is that?
That was in our chat.
In the chat, too.
Yes. And I go with the carb lovers, being a gluten-free person myself. I can't stand it because I love carbs. But you were discussing the, oh my gosh. We're talking about the Nordics and the fact that they like bread and you make bread from toast. And
we're talking about the alien perspective.
The alien perspective of this relationship.
Landing on the White House lawn to let us know they're here. Well, through popular media, through entertainment media.
Yes.
And through shows like Ancient Aliens, which I guess has been on 10 years now.
Starting 11.
And YouTube channels, independent research on YouTube. YouTube's been around 10 years as well. This is a notion that Richard Dolan presented. This is not my... we're all thinking along the same lines, but I credit this to Richard Dolan. He's wondering himself, we're all wondering, why is ufology now all of a sudden a hot topic? Why is this taboo subject of great interest now in the popular consciousness? Is it because there have been YouTube videos for 10 years? Is it because people have been watching Ancient Aliens for 10 plus years, 11 years? We don't know. Is it because aliens are putting thoughts in our heads that there really is something to this, and it is to our advantage to open our minds to this reality, we as a species and as individuals in that species? Is it to our advantage to acknowledge their existence and to have peace